on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. On ATM. From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. On ATM. From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the sun.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Joining me on Anchor's chat this morning is Ofina Anocha, an in-house journalist and the anchor of Society Watch. Good morning, Ofina, and welcome.
Good morning, Madam Laurentia. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And then on to the story. No fewer than 117 repentant terrorists from Borno State have completed the federal government's disarmament, rehabilitation and reintegration program under Operation Safe Corridor. Defense headquarters disclosed this during a stakeholders meeting held at the Nigerian Army Resource Center to finalize plans for transferring the rehabilitated individuals to relevant authorities for reintegration into society. Coordinator of Operation Safe Corridor, Brigadier General Y. Ali, said the beneficiaries successfully underwent the program at the Malam Sidi camp, noting improved collaboration between federal and state governments in monitoring and community reintegration efforts. The military also confirmed the expansion of the initiative to Northwest, with ongoing engagements aimed at strengthening rehabilitation and victim support frameworks. Meanwhile, the Benue State government has requested the establishment of a similar DRR camp in North Central region. Defense authorities said these assessments of proposed sites were ongoing, stressing that rehabilitation programs remain critical to sustaining security gains achieved through military operations and preventing a relapse into violent activities. Ofina, what is your take on this?
I must begin by saying that this is actually a very sensitive one, Madam Laurentia. I mean, in as much as no one will really come out to say, I am against this move. But then, before this move was considered, or even as we consider this move, I think there are a lot of questions that needed to be asked and answered. One of which is, I mean, does this rehabilitation move guarantee long-term security? That's one. And how do we measure the effectiveness of the program before the rehabilitation? We are calling these persons repentant terrorists. How are we sure that these persons have really repented? And then also, even as these persons are being, these former terrorists are being reintegrated into the society, what about the bereaved communities? What about the bereaved families? Are they psychologically ready? Are they emotionally ready to accept these former fighters? Imagine, I try to fix myself in their shoes, and then imagine while I'm still crying because I have lost both parents, and then I get to see the very persons who has made me an orphan parading freely on the street, all in the name of being reintegrated. The persons who have lost their loved ones to this whole saga, have they healed? Have they moved on? Are they ready to now reassociate with these people responsible for their pains? That's one of the questions we should ask. And then, apart from the reintegration, Are there strategies put in place to monitor these former killers, these former fighters, or are they just setting them free into society and leaving them just like that? How do they want to watch these people to make sure that their repentance is for real and there will be no going back? And then I think this is even, in a way, it's a trap for me, because whether we like it or not, in a way, in one way or the other, when, like I said before, I asked the question if the bereaved communities and families are ready to reassociate with these people. Because let's assume that the answer is no. If these people are not mentally and psychologically ready yet, and yet they have these people forced to them, it may lead to another form of violence. I may just see the man who I think is responsible for making me a widow person, and then anger may ensue, and before you know it, it can lead to another form of violence and all that. So I really think that there are a whole lot of things beyond the rehabilitation, and then even after the rehabilitation, we still have the government, the system still has a whole lot of roles and responsibilities to play to make sure that the rehabilitation is actually the right thing to do, and this is the right time to do it. Because if you ask me, I think it's quite too early.
All right. Very well, quite too early. But then one would say, to a large extent, a whole lot of things comes to mind. And at this point, I'll be looking at the reward system of Nigerian government. You know, a politician was once saying, I think it was Iginla, when he was speaking, when he was addressing the INEC situation, he said that when Nigeria does not favor the good people, when you are bad in this country, you appear to prosper. When you are bad in this country, you appear to be treated with certain privileges, right? In Niger Delta, we had a case of, you know, killing and all that. Yes, they said they were agitating for their rights for oil, right? And also for oil spillages, the fact, the negligence of the federal government, you know, in these communities and all of that. But I recall that at the end of this whole thing, we have the likes of Asari Dokubo, who is still talking loud till tomorrow, walking free and being treated with kid gloves. I mean, one of the Niger Delta militants who calls himself the general, I think, government, sorry, he calls himself government in the person of Tompolo. He's guiding Nigeria's waterways, and he's receiving billions monthly to guide Nigeria's waterways, and the crimes all forgiven, blotted away, right? Then we have the likes of Nnamdi Kanu, whose own was just mere speech and sit at home and all of that, and he is guilty of terrorism and had been sentenced to life imprisonment. Now, the same government has also set other people who have committed similar offenses free. Now, let's come down to terrorists. Okay. Because now, Nnamdi Kanu is in prison for pushing for self-determination, saying, oh, Nigerian government, you cannot keep maltreating the Igbos, correct?
Yes.
Now, we have a set of people who are not just locally known as terrorists, internationally known as terrorists with ties to foreign terrorist organizations. We have the ISWAP, we have Boko Haram, we have the killer herdsmen, we have bandits, we have unknown gunmen. I mean, we have the Lakuwaras. I mean, Lakuwara just recent, I think, I saw hearing Lakuwara in the news last year. So now, who knows the group that will come out this year? This is a situation where they have formed an association. It was here that we discussed the letter written by Nigerian Association of Terrorists. I mean, Nigerian Terrorist Association, either of that.
NTA, Nigerian Terrorist Association.
Thank you. Wrote to some local governments in a state, telling them that they were coming and they should get prepared. Now, these are people that have massacred. We are looking at Yewata massacre. We are looking at kidnap of Chibok girls. Crimes that can be traced. Crimes against women and children. Pregnant women, their tummies were slit open and their unborn children brought out in broad daylight. People were burnt alive in their houses. And then the government is coming out to tell us, oh, these people are repentant terrorists. It's beating me hollow. And this reminds me of what Abacha said during his time as a military governor. Abacha said that when terrorism has lingered, or when crime lingers beyond 24 hours, I don't want to finish the statement, but the people who know what I'm saying knows what Abacha said. Now, one would say, going by the allegations of certain powerful people within the corridors of power that are covering and sponsoring these people, and the position that the federal government and the judiciary has taken, not forgetting the issue of Adamu, who once was sentenced to death. He was actually sentenced to death because he defended himself against a killer Fulani herdsman that came to kill him in his farmland.
Mr. Johnson.
He was sentenced to death.
Jackson.
Jackson. It was Jackson, not John. Thank you.
Jackson.
He was sentenced to death, and when the matter went to Supreme Court upheld that death sentence. Correct?
Yes.
In defending his life in a state that there is established terrorism, in a place that it has been established that Fulani herdsmen are killing people. And this Fulani herdsmen will kill and go scot-free, no arrest is made. Right?
Yes.
The few that we heard was arrested. There is silence on that end. And then someone defends himself and saves his life. The federal government says, no, how dare you? So now, which brings to question, is the government shielding the terrorists? I think Nigeria should start asking government the right questions. But it's unfortunate that in social media, priority of Nigerians right now is all about soft sell and gossip. But the right questions, we are not asking the right questions. This is a wake-up call to every Nigerian. We should ask the right questions. How is it that terrorists in this country are being rehabilitated and reintegrated into the society? Go back and check and do your research. You will find out that there have been crimes committed by these so-called rehabilitated terrorists. At what point is the federal government going to take the lives of Nigerians as in hold it sacred? How is it that in this country the life of a cow is more important and more valuable than the life of a human being? I do not understand. Someone needs to make this make sense to us. This is actually a rant and a call out to the federal government. This is not right. This is not, and to the security operatives as well, corridor safe power or whatever it is. So now the government has resources to build camps to rehabilitate repentant terrorists. But Nigerians in IDP camps are dying and they are without security in those IDP camps. So I think that Nigeria should be asking the government what exactly is their priority.
This is very terrible.
What exactly is the priority of this country and the priority of the so-called leaders in power? And they wonder why Nigerians are, well, I don't want to say anything about the Japa syndrome. Maybe that will be conversation for another day. But unless and until the government decides to have the willpower to fight terrorism in this country, then and only then will Nigeria get it right. But pending when that happens, it is what it is. People will keep committing crime and the government will keep handing out amnesty and then giving out faulty reward system for terrible people in this country. It's a pity. Thank you so much, Ofina. I'm not too happy this morning. Do you have anything to say as we're rounding up?
I'm speechless at this point. It's actually so terrible. I mean, there's a saying that goes, a pig will always remain a pig. Take the pig to the stream, bait it, clean it up, it will still go back to being a pig. And then we have people who were former killers, brutal killers, now being brought back into the society, and then we are told that they have repented. And just yesterday, I think last week, I spoke on a report where 2 men who stole a bag of rice worth 56,000 were sentenced for 2 years imprisonment, or they were to bail themselves with 500,000 naira each. And then we began to look at the price of the bag of rice. two able men stole, and then if they were to sell that rice, it won't be the normal cost again. It will come down to either 40. So someone who stole an item for 40,000 naira, asking them to pay 500, and here we have a group of persons who have made children, who has made families homeless, who has made women widows, who has wiped an entire family, and then you are bringing them back, forgiving them just like that. It is terrible. It's well with the Nigerian system.
It is well. Thank you very much, Ofina. Thank you. It's a pleasure having you this morning.
Thank you so
much. I wish we have more time to discuss this. Probably we'll take this up tomorrow again. And thank you so much, our viewers, for staying connected to us. We've got a short break, and when we come back, Open Conversation comes up next.
We bring on-spot news, live analysis, expert discussion,